Hello, Oakwood friends and YouTube friends. Um, Welcome to another episode of Art with Ashley. Today, I thought that we would reflect on the new spring season that we find ourselves upon. Um, I know there are little signs of spring here and there with a little bit of the warmer weather and some sunshine, as well as the birds chirping. I had a full bird feeder and it felt like within 2 days it was emptied. So I know the birds are happy to be out again. And so today, I thought that we would keep with a spring theme, and I am going to do a colored pencil rendering of a crocus flower. Fairly common to find those in the spring, and I guess I wasn't really familiar with them until last spring, when quarantine began, and it just felt like those first days were so dreary and cloudy. But my daughter and I found a way to get outside every day, and we rounded the corner of our apartment, and brown grass, it's the beginning of spring, so not a whole lot's out. But all of a sudden, there was just this purple flower that caught my eye, just by itself, you know, against the white brick of the house and the brown grass, and just this beautiful, bright, purple, vibrant crocus. At the time, to be honest, I had no idea what flower it was. So, call Penny over really quick, like, oh my gosh, you got to see this. Look how pretty this is. And, they don't last very long. So, but we did, it was a sign of life that we needed to see, I think, then. And just this weekend, I was taking out the garbage and I rounded that corner again. And there I saw not just one, but two purple crocus flowers, just as beautiful as they were last year. So I've never created a crocus flower before in colored pencil or paint or anything. So this will be a nice challenge for me. And I don't primarily work with colored pencil very often. So I think that'll be a little challenging as well. So stick with me. But I think it is important that we challenge ourselves sometimes and step outside our comfort zones, to keep things fresh, and also, trying new things, and stepping outside of our comfort zones in that way is helpful in creating new synapses and neural pathways in our brains, which is helpful to combat Alzheimer's and cognitive concerns. So, if you're not keen on art, maybe you should try it. Could be good for your brain. Okay, enough of that. I'm going to show you the supplies I'm working with today. I just have a regular HB pencil and an eraser. And then I'm just working out of my sketch pad here. And then the colored pencils that I'm using today are Prismacolor. I've used several different kind of colored pencils throughout the years. Crayola, they're kind of in the middle ground if you're just looking for something that's affordable, as well as, going to give you a decent pigment. However, anything less than that, I know that I've had difficulty with. And the reason for that is that, the less expensive the colored pencil is, typically the harder the lead is, and the pigment then is not very bright. What I like about these Prismacolor, and yes, these are more on the pricey side, so if you are interested in doing more than just, one rendering or something, if you enjoy working in the meditative coloring books, or if you want to try to freehand something, I really would suggest these Prismacolor pencils. They are a softer lead, they are a higher quality colored pencil, and you really can tell the difference when you're working with them. Just a little plug. So, this is a container of 48. I think I got these off of Amazon. But they come in smaller packs as well. There's also the Scholar variety of the Prismacolors, and those are also more affordable. So anyway, that's what we're working with here. I have pulled up a picture of a crocus flower on my phone, and so I will be using that. See if I can show you. That's the photo I have, so that's what I'll be working with. And I am going to move the camera now so that you can see my workspace. I apologize, it will be upside down, but hopefully you can get a general idea of what I'm doing, okay? Okay, I think that's good to start now. All right. So I'm gonna have my phone over here. And I'm just going to sketch this out really lightly. I opted for a single flower as opposed to a lot of the other images that I found were more than one flower, and I said I wanted a challenge, but I don't want too much of a challenge. So initially when you're sketching something out, you know, it's totally okay to sort of very roughly sketch, you know, and start with basic shapes. That's kind of what I showed you last week with the clovers. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing right now. And those basic shapes I will eventually that circle that I drew in the middle here, and I know you really can't see this. It is a little dark in here today, but hopefully you'll get a good idea of it. You know, and I'm giving myself the freedom to, yes, I'm using a reference photo, but I'm giving myself the freedom to create this how I would like to create it, right? So, yes, I have a reference, but this is my flower, and I am going to take the creative freedom to make it my own. Something I suggest that you do as well when you are creating. Don't be so hard on yourself if it doesn't look exactly like your reference photo. 9 times out of 10, you're typically using a photograph as a reference. Photographs are photographs for a reason. You know, they have the ability to capture specific details effortlessly, right? But we know that with art, we have to put a little bit of work into it. And so I believe that we should be allowed to give ourselves that freedom. Okay. Have the basic shape here. My photograph really only stops right about here. You can kind of see that here, that it just kind of stops right there. So, I don't know. For now, I'm just going to leave it at that, with that blade that's crossing right here. So, I feel pretty good about that shape. It feels similar to what I have there. I am going to erase some of my sketchy lines here. And then I'll go back in and make some more lines. Okay. So there's some pretty good contrast created by the light, that the natural light in which this photograph was taken. So I am going to draw in some of the, I'll show you the reference photo again here. So I am going to accentuate specific areas, like right there. You can tell this petal really is kind of half and half, very bright there, and then dark on the other side. So I'm just going to give myself little guidelines and draw those in here. Oh, and I also didn't draw the center of the flower. That bright orange against that purple really is signature of this flower, I think. Or one of them. The little blades of grass, or I don't know what you want to call them, that accompany it are so distinct also. I think even before you see the crocus flower, if you see those springing up out of the ground, you kind of know that it's a crocus. Alright, so just roughly sketched in that center part there, so this is a little bit more round than what I have it. Okay, so I am also now just going to add some of those in there. always have difficulty with the very front petal, the one that's sort of looking at you head on. Perspective is difficult, even for somebody like myself who has gone to art school and practiced a long time. All right, we are getting there. Okay. I'm not satisfied with how I have the bottom here, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. Make something up. I think I'll just make some blades of grass here and there. Okay, we'll give you a peek at my sketch here. What I have. All right, so there's my crocus flower. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then I did add just a little bit of grass on the bottom there. Nothing fancy. Okay. I am now going to begin shading it in here. I'll pull my picture back up here again. Okay, so I do have, I guess one positive thing with having this set of 48 Prismacolors here is that I do have a good variety of purple and violet to choose from. So I'm kind of just going to pick those out here. Blue violet, Parma violet. Okay. And there's one other one over here. I think there are some really pretty blue colors in here too, so I think I'm going to pick out some blues too. Like this ultramarine, I think will go well with the purple in here. I'll show you right along there, and on this side here. So focus in on that a bit. And who knows, I'll grab others along the way too. Okay. And I might go rogue and just kind of, do my own thing too. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen. A good suggestion that I have would be to have a scrap piece of paper. I'm just going to use probably the bottom of my page to test out my colors. As this isn't anything that I'm going to be hanging up, likely it'll just stay in my sketchbook. So something I would suggest is, have a scrap piece of paper if you're hoping to frame this or something in the end. And just try out your colors first before you actually put them on your image. Because no matter what the outside of the color pencil looks like or the lead, you never know. It's the same thing with paint, right? You need to test it out. So yeah, that is pretty dark blue. I don't know if I want to do that yet. Sliding. Just testing out some colors here. That might be good for the bottom here. So I'm going to start on the bottom. And I always kind of start off fairly light. You can always make it darker if you need to. You just can't really erase colored pencils very well, especially when it's on there pretty dark, so just be mindful of that. And I should say that the paper I'm using is really the sketchbook is really mixed media. So I don't know, if I was trying to do this really professionally, I might choose a higher quality paper to work with, but sketchbooks are good to have and are very useful. Okay, so starting off with our, this is just a regular violet I'm working with here. I think it lends itself well to, I see so many blues in this. I think I am going to have to pick out some more blue colors because I just don't think the purple's going to cut it. Some mulberry, I'll pull that aside too. My, it's indigo. These tins are nice. I'll give them that. They are nice to organize things, but if they don't close tightly, you're left with a giant mess. And unfortunately, I think that's what happened to this set of pencils. It's going to be really dark, I think. Not what I'm looking for. What about you? It's even darker. I'll try this one. We might have to mix some colors here. I'm not really happy with the variety I've got, so yeah, not you. Okay. So I really want to get that pretty blue color. So, no, that's too dark. Okay. So, and again, we can kind of make this our own, so if it's not exactly what you expected, that's all right. I give you permission to make mistakes. Not like you needed it, but in the event that you feel better that way, you have my permission. Really trying to pick out these subtle details. I will be honest, I try to do this kind of quickly for the sake of not having you watch over an hour-long video. Um, so keep that in mind. No. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I'm trying to create this very vibrant, excuse me, kind of almost like a magenta. But I'm finding I don't quite have that colored pencil. So right now I'm having to mix. I have a process red, it's called, and I'm mixing that with my Parma Violet, and that seems to be creating the vibrancy that I'm looking for. So and I can hold this up in a minute. Sort of what I'm doing is as soon as I find a color that that kind of matches, I look around my photograph and try to figure out where else that color is in that photograph, so that I can utilize it while I have it on hand. I think my phone is probably going to die and I'm going to lose this picture. And then you'll really see how I wing it. Where's that violet though? Oh, that's okay. I wonder if anybody else talks to themselves like I do when I'm creating some art. All right. Going back in with some of this darker blue. Sort of crisp up that edge. I'm not sure if I'll get to the rendering of the stem today, but I just want to give you a good idea of what this is looking like. This could be a two-part deal. Okay, let's see if this is what I'm looking for. For my lighter purple, I think it'll work. Perfect. Hmm. Hmm. don't know if you can tell, but this is basically how I'm deciding what colors to use. This is how I'm holding them all. I'm sure there's probably a better way of doing it, but that's what I'm doing. All right, I do think that this is going to end up being a two-part video because we are coming up on 37 minutes now. Whoa. So I don't want you guys to get bored with it here, so I'm just going to add in a couple more little details here, and then I'll give you a peek at what I have in comparison to the picture, and you'll be able to see from there. So I'm gonna flip this back up. Hi. All right. So here is the picture that I'm working off of. Okay. And again, this is a two-part video, so this is what I have so far. I don't know if you can really tell. Again, the lighting is not very good. Hopefully. So here's a side-by-side, I guess, of what kind of tell I was working on the darkness, or excuse me, the darker areas, trying to catch some of that blue, the undertones in there, and just, you know, sort of working with the colors that I have. So, of course, if I had a paint palette, I could probably make a closer color match, but, you know, I'm working with what I have here, these colored pencils. So, and again, I'm kind of making it my own, so, that is what I have for you folks for this week's Art with Ashley. You can tell up here this is where I was testing out my colors. And I suppose if I wanted to frame this eventually, I could just sort of cut that part off. But definitely have yourself a scrap piece of paper or something that you can, you know, test your colors out on. And yeah. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for next week's edition, where I will be hopefully completing this. So, thanks again.